Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, recently my wife said that I have no sense of direction whatsoever. Where did that come from? Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at DC Comics deck building game Arkham Asylum from Cryptozoic Entertainment. In the DC Comics deck building game Arkham Asylum, 2 to 4 players take on the roles of various villains from the DC universe who had been caged and trapped in Arkham Asylum and have finally broken free. They're going to bribe people, they're going to take hostages, and do all sorts of nasty, nasty things to the people of Gotham. Now, if you've played any of the other DC Comics deck building games in the Cerberus engine, you'll know how to play this, the basics of playing this game. It's not very difficult. I'm going to talk then about, so I'm not going to really talk about that stuff. I'm going to talk more about what kind of new mechanisms this set brings to your game of DC Comics deck building game. Then I'm going to tell you what I think. Now, first of all, your starting hand is you have 6 punch, 3 vulnerabilities, and then the character that you play with the oversized hero, they're going to have their own unique card that you're going to play that's going to kind of fit in with the play style here. Now, one thing you need to know in this game is victory points are not just the printed victory points on cards. You also have victory point tokens. And these victory point tokens throughout the game will be things that you can gain and that you can spend to do different things. Now, you have your Nemesis deck. These are various heroes from the DC universe, and you will always encounter Batman at the end of that deck. Now, one of the big new concepts in this game is bribe. Essentially, you have bribe cards in the main deck, and they'll come out occasionally. And how bribery works is they have a VP bribe number on there. So in order to bribe a card, it costs maybe 2 VPs or 3 VPs or more. And what you do when you bribe a card is essentially you pay the VPs, and then you slide the card up to the bribe token. You put it under the bribe token. And then what that means is you can essentially play that card, you can do everything on that card, but you don't get it. At the end of the game, that card is going to go back on the bottom of the main deck, and you're going to replace the card like normal. But it's a way, if maybe you don't have enough power to buy the card or you want to do something else with your power, you can still use those cards, and that can be very helpful when going up against the Nemesis. Now, one other new concept here is you have hostages. Hostages are cards that you can buy only once per turn. So the deck is face down except for the top card, which is face up. You can buy that card, and then at the beginning of the next round, you can flip over the next hostage. Now, these hostages go in your deck, and essentially when they come out, they usually go in front of you. They're like locations. They have ongoing abilities. But you get an immediate ability as soon as you play it, and then you will have opportunities to do other things with that card later. Put it back on the bottom of the hostage deck in order to do something interesting, or discard the card to do something interesting. Now, you have this concept of releasing a card. Whenever a card says to release a card, you essentially put that card on the bottom of its original deck. So this is true for hostages. It's true for the main deck. Now, this game also has Surge. This is something we saw in Justice League Dark. And essentially what Surge does is you can actually put out more cards below the main lineup cards so that you can have more options to choose from buying. You can have many cards out there instead of just the 5 at any given time. Now, some of the villains here have some interesting things. For instance, the Riddler has Riddler tokens that he will put over the course of the game. He'll put those over the slots where you buy cards from. And then if any other player actually goes to that and buys a card from underneath it, they have to resolve that riddle. Now, oftentimes that riddle will give you VP points, it will give the Riddler VP points, or it may do things to hurt you. There can be things to help you or to hurt you. You never know quite what's going to come up in those Riddler tokens. But the Riddler doesn't know either. He's essentially putting those face down, and then once one has been resolved, it goes out until he's played them all, and then he can shuffle them again to play them again. Mr. Freeze can actually freeze cards. Essentially, you can put cards off to the side, and then they will only come back in after you've completely gotten through all of your deck and you've reshuffled, and then that card will become your new discard pile. Two-Face has a coin, and of course, a lot of his cards, or the card he starts with, rather, will have him flip a coin to determine heads or tails. And there are some other cards that will come out of the main deck that may allow players to flip a coin. Now, I also did the Kickstarter, so I have the Shadows expansion to this game. And what's cool about the Shadows expansion is you can actually play a 2v2 game. That's right, you can have team games. During team games, you're each going to put out cards telling who goes first, second, third, fourth, because it's staggered between the teams. You're also going to, one team is going to be the heroes, because there's oversized hero cards for the Shadows expansion. And the other side is going to be the villains. And then you each have your own Nemesis deck. Of course, the heroes are fighting villains. The villains are fighting heroes in their respective Nemesis decks. But this is cool, too, because you also have a coffer card. And the coffer card you can put victory tokens on the coffer card, which will allow you to do some funky things, like you can essentially buy a card from lineup and put it in your neighbors, your team members' discard pile. You can also play a victory token to use a defense card you have to defend your teammate. Any VP tokens that go on your coffer card remain there until the end of the game, and they can then, of course, be used for final scoring as well. Now, there's a few other bells and whistles. There's a few other variants you can do, but basically that is how you play the game. Of course, you are purchasing cards with power, you are trying to take out the nemesis, and you are gaining victory points. At the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points, or whichever team has the most victory points, wins the DC Comics deck building game, Arkham Asylum. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. All right, so the DC Comics deck building game, Arkham Asylum. First of all, I love the DC Comics deck building game, and it seems like every set lately has just been getting better and better. I loved Justice League Dark. I thought that one was great. I liked the transforming cards, and that introduced Surge, which I really liked. And I liked Injustice before that. I liked that just total war between the super heroes. I really liked that one quite a bit as well. Arkham Asylum, I like for a lot of reasons. Now, first of all, I like it because you're playing the villains. Now, we had Forever Evil a few years ago, which I liked, which I thought Forever Evil was fun, but I don't know. I like this one a little better. It's a little more edgier, I think, in terms of what the cards can do and what your abilities can do. And I like that, and I really like the bribes. I can't tell you, the first game I played, man alive, I was able to keep defeating the various nemesis because I was able to bribe. Bribe is very helpful in this game, but it costs you. You're literally paying victory points to invest in hopefully taking down a bigger opponent, right? And get more victory points. So I really like the bribe. I like the hostages too. The hostages are too cool because they're kind of like the locations. They've got ongoing abilities, or they've got special effects that can help you manipulate your deck or what you're trying to do in the game. And so I really like the hostages as well. I really like some of those powers that the villains have, like with the Riddler when he puts out those tokens. That was really a lot of fun. And Two-Face flipping the coin. I mean, there's just a lot of really cool variety there. And a lot of the characters here are a lot of fun. And then I really like the Shadows expansion that came with my copy, which again has the team games in it, which are very, very fun. We had a blast with the team game. Chris and I just played the team game once, but it was Chris and I versus Ray and Al. And we were the heroes, Ray and Al were the villains, and the villains won. They clobbered us. It was tough, but it's such a fun game. And, to me, any great deck building game the point of a great deck building game, where the fun from a deck building game comes from, is can you do fun and interesting things? Can you find those combos and make the cards work for you? Can you manipulate the cards in ways that get you where you want to be? And DC Comics deck building game has always done this very well. And this new edition, Arkham Asylum, is excellent. We had so much fun with this game. And, I played this with my buddies. I played it with my wife. And I'm looking forward to playing it again and again. I've got a lot of the other Kickstarter stuff they sent me. I may take a look at that at some point on video. I'm looking forward to diving into it and seeing what it adds to the game. But in any event, I freaking love the DC Comics deck building game, and I love Arkham Asylum. I think it's great. At some point, I'm going to have to go through and rank the core sets because it's just awesome. But in any event, that is the DC Comics deck building game, the Arkham Asylum edition of the DC Comics deck building game. And on the Cody scale, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It is a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we'd ask you to please leave a comment for us here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, on X. We really love to hear from you. I'd also ask you to go ahead and check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. And if you do really enjoy the content you see here on The Discriminating Gamer, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, the other day, I decided to get rid of all of my socks. But then I got cold feet. Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight. You better get back, Zackman, or this cowardly commentator will pay the ultimate price. $5! It's just so stupid. Alright. Can you get through it? Yeah, I better. $5. Why do I get... Alright. Oh, thank goodness.